Hello and welcome to the Book Nook. Please come in and make yourself at home. If you're new to the Book Nook, welcome. It is such a pleasure to have you stop by for a visit. If you're not aware of what the Book Nook is, we are a branch of the Faith and More podcast, which is part of Faith and More Ministries. And I'm your host, Reverend Angel Wise, and I will be sharing with you all kinds of things in today's show. On today's Book Nook, we have the Book Nook once a month, and we cover things in the Book Nook that we don't get a chance to cover in the regular Faith and More podcast. We cover everything from homeopathy, aromatherapy, music, binaural beats, books, and more and more and more. And we also have Secret Time, where we share secrets about upcoming episodes, topics, and information that those who don't listen to the Book Nook won't get. And if you're returning to the Book Nook, welcome back. It is such a pleasure to have you here again. For everyone, it is my deepest hope and sincerest prayer that you find everything you're searching for in a Book Nook podcast here and more. So everyone, please get comfortable, get your favorite beverage, sit in your favorite chair or your favorite couch, curl up and enjoy. Hello, shalom, everyone. Welcome to the July edition of the Book Nook. I don't know where that came from. Hey, we'll take it, won't we? So, how is everyone doing? Man, I tell you what, the humidity where I'm at is just off the charts. Talk about, I don't know where you're at, but if you're in a nice, cool place, you are most blessed. Well, anyway, we're all most blessed, no matter what environment we're in, aren't we? We've learned that so much in the last couple shows, especially in the last couple seasons. And this is, speaking of, the last Book Nook not the last Book Nook forever. The last Book Nook for season 5. Yeah, we were just a few episodes away from being finished with season 5 and our 100th episode. And this is the weird thing. It's the 100th episode according to episodes. But if you factor in the Book Nooks and all that stuff that's part of the show, we're well over 100. But hey, we have to stick to the details, right? Or at least that's what the man says. Listen to what the man says, as Paul McCartney once sang. So yeah, we've got that coming up, and I got some information on that, or I should say it's not really sad information. It's just an update as far as what that 100th episode is going to look like. So again, if you haven't already got yourself a favorite beverage, go get one, get relaxed and comfortable, and have a listen. So first up, we've got news. The fundraiser has come and gone. We did not receive any donations in this fundraiser, and I'm not bitter about it and not judging. I completely understand. A lot of people who listen to this show are my age or older, so they are on fixed incomes, and I understand you just don't have it to spare. But know that our Patreon is open and always will be open, and you can make a donation on the Patreon. And there's also 3 levels of giving on the Patreon, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment. And we're going to continue to do fundraisers. I'm going to do one every season. So we'll have one coming up in the fall to give people the opportunity to donate that way if they want. But you don't have to wait until then. You can go to the Patreon. And again, that information is coming up. Okay, so last Book Nook, we talked about Reverend Mother Teresa Agnes of the Monastery of the Most Holy Trinity in Arlington, Texas, and all of the drama that was going on. Well, if you could just imagine that drama's been multiplied by 1,000, that's where we're at right now. So I've got an update, and the last update I could find was from June 29th, and this is from the New York Post, and I'll have a link to it in the show description, as I always do. And it says, a disabled Texas nun was booted from her monastery for breaking her vow of chastity. But while she admits sexting with a friend, or excuse me, a priest, also a friend, she maintains that they were never physically intimate. And sexting, for those of you who aren't familiar, is having virtual sex, as in, on the phone, having phone sex, either through, video, or through just phone, or through texting. So it gets really crazy. Reverend Mother Superior Teresa Agnes Gerlach, age 43, who uses a wheelchair and has a feeding tube, allegedly broke her vow of chastity at the monastery she ran in Arlington, Fort Worth, Texas. Catholic diocese lawyers alleged at a court hearing Tuesday. They played, well, back it up. That bishop actually recorded her saying these things, and they were played at the trial, which to me is very suspicious. Why would a bishop be recording a confession of anyone? That's against his vows and against the rules of the church. But it gets crazier, folks. So anyway, he records her saying, I made a horrible, horrible mistake. She says, I was not in my right mind, she told Fort Worth Bishop Michael Olson as he pressed her about the fling. Even a nun can fall, she said. Gerlach was ousted from the Carmelite Monastery of the Most Holy Trinity on June 1st after an investigation found she had a fling with Father Bernard Marie of Montana. So now they've finally released the name of the priest, because last Book Nook, they were refusing to let the name of the priest go. They had no problem dragging her through the mud and the barbed wire and the bombs, but the priest, they didn't. But the priest's name's been released, but there's not much more that was done to him. We'll get to that here in a second. She says church leaders back it up. The boss nun, this is the article using these terms, the boss nun is now suing the bishop and the Diocese of Fort Worth for $1 million, accusing Olson of invading her privacy, seizing her electronics, and defaming her. She says church leaders overstepped by claiming she broke her vow, as she had never been physically intimate with the priest, and they had read too much into a statement she had made about her period being late 1 month. I know, I'm just totally speechless of how, regardless of her being a nun or an abbess or, in charge, she gave a confession. And this confession is supposed to be sacred and sanctified. And a priest is supposed to hang on to that until after death. They're never supposed to release that information. Not only was it released, but he released it publicly. Ay, ay, ay. So, Gerlach also said she's no twisted sister, insisting she had fallen in love with the priest and suffered from seizures that caused a lapse in her judgment. In audio played in court, Gerlach admitted to getting frisky over the phone and via video chat, but said she had never met the man in question in person, according to Fort Worth paper. Bishop, I need to tell you something. I don't know how to explain this, but this did not happen in person at all. It was all over the phone. She confessed. I promise you, Bishop, at the time, I was having seizures and was really in a very difficult position. And I think my brain just got really messed up, she said. Gerlach also claims she had just undergone a surgical procedure and was heavily medicated when Olson interrogated her and made the recording. according to an affidavit. And I've heard from several sources and seen in several sources, but that is true, that she had just undergone a major surgical procedure and was heavily sedated when he interrogated her. And she said all these things. Olson also said the investigation uncovered photos, get this, shot by a janitor allegedly revealing marijuana products. We talked a little bit about this in the last Book Nook, being used inside the monastery. Although, here it is, there is no evidence Gerlach had been using them. A judge called the hearing to determine whether the Catholic sex scandal will stay in civil court or be left to the Vatican, already conducting its own investigation, according to the Dallas Morning News. During her conversation with Olson, Gerlach also reluctantly gave up the name of her priestly paramour as Father Bernard Mary. Mary, who is also known as Father Philip Johnson, was granted leave from the Diocese of Raleigh in North Carolina and later joined the Transalpine Redemptorist Monastery in Montana in 2022, church leaders told the Star-Telegram. Johnson is not currently exercising public ministry, the Diocese of Raleigh said Wednesday. His priestly faculties were restricted as a precautionary measure until more clarity regarding his status can be ascertained, the statement said. District Court Judge Don Cosby said he did not expect to make a decision this week on whether the case will stay in civil court. Meanwhile, a prominent Fort Worth socialite whose family, get this, donated the land the monastery is on, claims the church is really after the property. This is nothing but a ploy to get rid of Mother Teresa and close the monastery, Sheila Johnson told the Fort Worth Business Press. He wants the property. The 72-acre monastery was paid for by Johnson's mother, a well-known Texas philanthropist. Philanthropist. There. Johnson said, challenging the bishop. So just a few more things to add to the story. This is like a movie. This is not like something you would see or believe in real life. But not only is Mother Teresa suffering from all kinds of ailments, she's on an IV, she's got a feeding tube, she's wheelchair bound, but get this. The priest, Father Philip Johnson, has terminal brain cancer. So is it possible that both of these parties just did something that was out of character, out of their norm, because of the diseases and illnesses and medications that they are on and have? It's quite possible. If anything, it's very plausible that this is what happened. And it gets down to the vow of chastity. She didn't physically do anything with this priest, nor did he physically do anything with her. But again, now we're splitting hairs as to what the church defines the vow of chastity to be. There's so much in this story that it's prompted me to do a show, and it's either going to be our 100th episode or it's going to be the first episode of season 6. So there's your secret time. So no one else listening, didn't listen, wouldn't know. But I'm going to do a show on clerical celibacy. And is it right or is it wrong? And I'm not going to get into that here because I'm going to get into it very deeply in the episode as far as where did this come about? How did this come into being? Because if you go all the way back to the disciples, Peter, the father of the church, the Roman Catholic Church, as they profess, was married. There's been popes that have been married, popes that have had children, priests married and have had children. And we'll get into that in that episode. So stay tuned for that. But, I don't have any more updates on this, but I would imagine that, there's no civil issues here. No human laws have been broken. Other than maybe if you want to see it as Bishop Olson going in and taking all of their, not just Mother Teresa, but all of the nuns, their phones, their computers, confiscating those when he did not have the authority to do that at that time. Now, since then, as we talked about in the last Book Nook, the Vatican has given him papal authority over this case, which to me is a huge conflict of interest because he's involved with it directly. How can he make an unbiased judgment or decision as to who was right and who was wrong? He can't, because he's always going to side with himself. And, now we also have the people that donated the land. One of the descendants saying that, the bishop is just after the land. He wants to get rid of the monastery and take the land and do what he wants to do with it, which could very well be. So again, I don't know what's going to happen. It's a big thing for the judge to decide on, as far as civil law goes, human law, what has been violated and what hasn't. And the rest is left up to the Vatican. And I'm not judging, but if Bishop Olson's in charge of it, you know how that's going to go. So it already looks like Mother Teresa has been excommunicated from her position. Now, I believe she's still a nun. I don't believe they've kicked her out on that yet. But when we get more information, I'll be sure to let you guys know, especially in the next Book Nook. If we have any more updates, I'll let you know. So next is music and meditation. Last Book Nook, I talked about binaural beats, and I've mentioned it in shows previously. And for those of you who still don't know what it is, it's binaural, binaural beats, beats. And these are frequencies that you can listen to. They usually have a music or sound associated with it that can do literally anything. They can help improve your memory. They can make you happy. They can heal you. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. The benefits of binaural beats is endless, absolutely endless. And again, I mentioned this in the last Book Nook and a few shows about certain frequencies, in our mind and our heart and our body, etc. We are energy beings, and sound frequencies are a great form of energy. So give it a try. Just do a Google search. If anything, the best way to do it is to go on YouTube. There's so many, and I'll put a few links in the show description for those of you to check it out, where you can work on helping you with your prayer, with study, with anxiety, with depression, with health and healing. And it's, like I said, it's absolutely endless, and I can't recommend them enough. Okay, so next is prayer. How is everyone's daily prayer life going? Or I should just say your prayer life, period. Because prayer should be a part of your life if it already isn't. And as I've said and always will say, and ask, do you need help? Would you like help? That's absolutely free. Stay tuned and listen for more information. In today's internet world, there are so many choices and so many things on the internet that lure you into extending or working on or enhancing your faith, and most of them charge you for it. How about an absolutely free way and a free group that will love you unconditionally, no matter what your faith is or isn't, what your beliefs are or aren't? And again, did I mention free? Absolutely free? Well, look no further. Check out the Oblates of Perpetual Light. I happen to be the director of the Oblates of Perpetual Light, and I would love to have you check us out and become a member. Again, it's absolutely free of charge. Check us out at oblatespl.wixsite.com/oblates-pl, or you can email me directly at oblates.pl@gmail.com. There'll be links in the show description to get to those web addresses. So you say, what are the Oblates of Perpetual Light? Well, it's the first of its kind. We are a very first group of Oblates to fully utilize the internet to organize and communicate. This allows everyone and anyone to join from all over the world. The Oblates of Perpetual Light are inclusive, meaning everyone is welcome regardless of beliefs, faith, identification, gender, sexual preference, etc. We are independent, meaning that we are not affiliated with any church other than being connected to the Faith and More ministries. And we are trans-denominational. We are not affiliated with any one religion. Although our structure is very Benedictine, our Oblate director, hello, can easily assist you with adjusting to your faith no matter what it is or isn't. We greatly respect the beliefs and freedoms of all others. We all are children of the universe. Only 4 things are required to be an Oblate of Perpetual Light. First is to study and contemplate some sacred text of your faith at least once a day. It can be anything, any size, even a sentence or a word. It's imperative that an Oblate pray sometime during the day. That's the second one, is prayer. Again, it's up to us to choose when, where, and for how long. Number 3 is Oblates will gather together online, typically on Zoom at least once a month. And that's usually the last Sunday of every month, if not the second to last Sunday. And it's not required. These are things as far as the meeting goes. If you can attend, that's great, because you get to not only talk to, but you get to see your fellow Oblates. And the 4th requirement is love and respect all members regardless of their faith. We are here as a group, not just individuals. Every faith, belief, view, etc. will be respected. Bullying, hate, attacks, etc. will not be tolerated. So you are absolutely and completely safe. If this sounds like something you would be interested in, please check out the website. Again, a link will be in the show description, or email me directly at oblates.pl@gmail.com. Okay, so at the beginning of the show, I mentioned our Patreon. And what that is, if you're not aware, is it's used by YouTubers and podcasters and pretty much everyone and anyone that's an entrepreneur that has their own personal business or ministry or anything like that, to generate funds to help and support their work and their ministry. And ours is Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/Faith and More podcast. So pretty much easy to remember. And it's the link to this is always in the show notes and show description, and also mentioned in the closing credits of every show. So you can make a donation of any size, anytime on Patreon. But I've also created 3 different tiers for those who would like to make monthly contributions, where you can set it up to where every month it just comes out of your account. And there's 3 different tiers. And with each tier, you get some goodies. We all like that, right? So for the tier number 3, family member, it's a $5 a month donation. So $5 a month, that's all you have to donate. And you get a shout out. And I know a lot of people would say, well, you mentioned us in prayers. No, this is a shout out saying a personal thank you on the show for your monthly donation. So $5. Is the show worth $5 to you? Tier 2, family member, is a $10 a month donation. I know, a little bit more, but is the show worth $10 a month to you? You get a shout out, and you also get what are called fan requests, which means you can request shows. And I know we all have the opportunity to request shows since day 1 of this podcast, but those in this tier go to the top. So when anyone giving $10 or more donation makes a request, I get right on it and we'll discuss the particulars, and if it's something viable that we should do on the show, it'll be done. It's not a guarantee. Just to know, let you all know. It's not a guarantee that your request will be taken, but it will be listened to thoroughly from the get-go. Okay, and the third, or actually tier 1, which is the highest, family member is a $20 a month donation. So what do you get for $20 a month? You get the shout out. You get live event VIP status, which means anytime we do anything live on no matter what format it is, if it's Zoom or YouTube or whatever, you are a VIP front row seat to that event, which means that anything you say in the chat or anything or questions you pose get immediately answered or at the top of the list. And you get fan requests, which means your requests for future shows go at the very top of the list and get top priority. And you get a phone call from me once a month, if you would like that. And we can talk about whatever you want. So that is the tier 1. So tier 1 is $20, tier 2 is $10, and tier 3 is $5 a month. And it all comes down to is what you can afford and what does this show mean to you. And again, like I said, you can go to patreon.com/Faith and More podcast anytime and just make a donation there. It can be anything, $1. Every penny literally helps. And I know, I've had people already confront me saying, well, you said you'd never charge for this show, and I'm not charging for the show. I could lock it down on Patreon to where it's a subscriber only, and I'm not going to do that. I would never do that. The creator would never allow that. I'd be struck down where I sit if I ever even thought that, which I never have and never will. This show is for everyone. But as I have said, if you haven't already heard, I'm tapped out. My family and I do not have the resources anymore to put into the show. I mean, in speaking with my wife, I was saying it was over $1,000. It's over $1,500 we spent last year alone, not to mention previous years, on this show alone, on things to improve the show, better phones, better mics, better software, on and on and on. I mean, it's just, those of you who are tech savvy know that it's endless, because everything changes so quickly in the electronics world that there's always something coming up that improves over the last one. And no, we don't have to have a perfect show. And I'm not trying for a perfect show, but I am trying for the best we can possibly get in our humanness, and I've reached that limit as far as what I can put into out of my own pocket. So that's why I'm coming to you all with the Patreon and with these seasonal fundraisers to try to generate funds for the show to improve things. I mean, there's some software I'm looking at right now that I would love to get and actually need to get. There's a difference between would love to get and need to get. That is actually a necessity if we want to do videos. The video quality, as you've all have seen, is not very good at all. The green screen on Zoom, I mean, it's free. Zoom is free, so you get what you pay for or you don't pay for, right? But the quality is not good at all. It's very 90s to me as far as quality goes. It can be so much better. But the program to make that better, because I already have the camera that Haven and my son, our son, purchased for me last year, which was $400 camera that does video. The program needed to work on the video and to make the video better. The software program is $75, and I don't have it. I don't have it. And I'm not asking anyone to give up that amount. All I'm asking is if you can and you have the means and this show means something to you, feel free to make a donation. But I just wanted to, share that with all of you, the details on the Patreon, and give some more input as an emphasis on why we're doing this now, 5 seasons in, when we didn't do this before. It's because I'm just tapped out. I don't have the resources anymore, and I won't have the resources in the future. My family and I's financial status is not going to change for the better any time in the foreseeable future. So, like everyone, our rent has gone up $600 more a month. So, I mean, we're just completely tapped out. So, I mean, I guess I should have played a sad violin song in the background. I'm not whining and I'm not complaining. We are beyond blessed. We have what we need. It's just that it's up to all of us now as a family, you, the listeners. Do you want the show to be improved? Do you want better video quality if we start doing more videos? And I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. If you do, then please contribute. And those funds will go for bettering this show. And again, there is a lot. I know I always say this. I know it doesn't sound like it or seem like it, but there is so much time and so much work that goes into this show. And again, not complaining. I'm beyond blessed to be here, to be doing this. This is absolutely, without a doubt, what the Creator has called me to do. One of my soul challenges for this lifetime that I am able to fulfill and be blessed with. So again, not complaining, but again, any amount helps. Okay, so next we move to updates as far as the show goes. And episode 100, which is coming up here within the next 3 weeks, just 3 weeks away. Episode 20 of this season. So, we talked about possibly doing a YouTube live episode, and I received little to no feedback on that because I asked for you all to provide feedback on if you wanted to do a live event for the 100th episode. And one person said yes, but I didn't get any other replies as far as that goes. And considering the filming conditions and as far as the filming quality, I have decided not to do a live event for the 100th episode. It will be a regular, should say regular, because none of our shows are regular, right? They're all fantastical and truly amazing. So yeah, we'll have a fantastical, truly amazing episode, but it's just going to be the audio. And I know a lot of you listen to the show on the run, and I can't thank you all enough for just listening, for tuning in. So, I mean, I know that even though when we do something on video, we do it also on audio, more people will listen to the audio than watch the video because you have more time to listen as you go about your life than you do to actually sit and watch something. So it's not something I have abandoned in any way, shape, or form. As I shared earlier, I've got a brand new video camera for the show, but I just need the software for editing and to put it together in a nice package that's worth watching. That's not actually hard on your eyes. So anyway, if and when, the funds come through for that, then we'll make it happen. But until then, we'll put it on the back burner and we'll revisit it when we can. But again, it brings up the importance of feedback. And I know all of you are so very shy. We probably have, of all the podcasts in the world, we probably have the shyest audience and the shyest family of listeners than anybody else has, because I rarely hear anything from any of you. And I mean, I understand if you're all well and good, but please provide feedback because it greatly helps influence the direction of the show. If I know you all want something, then believe me, I'm going to do my level best with the help of the Spirit and the Creator to make it happen. So again, I always list my contact information at the end of every show. And it's as easy as faithandmorepodcast@gmail.com. So, or revangeluswise@gmail.com. It's that easy to get a hold of me. So please feel free to, share your 2 bits because it's worth a million to me. Personal updates. Yeah, there's a few. I'm in the middle of the second of 3 Kabbalah master classes through the Kabbalah Center. And again, I cannot stress enough how amazing these classes are. And it does not matter at all what your faith is or isn't, because Kabbalah is not a religion. It is a system that goes with everything and anything. It just flows, and it gives you so many answers to those questions that you wanted to ask or were afraid to ask, and many questions you didn't even know you had until the information is presented. So, I can beyond highly recommend these Kabbalah classes. The first class is donation. So you can give them $1 and they'll give you the class 1. Class 2 and class 3 are $49 US each. So, again, I highly recommend them. You can find them at Kabbalah.com. That's KABBALAH.com. And no, they are not funding this show in any way, shape, or form. We have no sponsors, and I am not actively seeking any at the moment. I thought about it. There was one person that's an author that I was thinking about who writes spiritual stuff. But then, seeing as though, you guys are all so shy and, we're not getting feedback on basic things. So I didn't want to, impose or put in a sponsor without first checking them with you guys first. So if people start to give feedback, I'll put it out there that, hey, let's vote on this and see if you guys want to go after this sponsor or that sponsor for the show. Because this is a family, and it's a group, effort here. So, your input, what I'm saying is your input is extremely of the utmost value. And I did receive 2 questions, and they're related. The first question was from someone who is very, very observant. They had heard in the intro, had changed to where I was at the very intro, the very beginning of the shows, the podcast, I was saying I am a ordained licensed minister, and that's now switched to just ordained minister. So they asked what happened on that. And then someone else asked if there were any updates as far as me in getting into the hospital that I had mentioned way back at the beginning of season 5 and then towards the mid to end of season 4, as far as getting access to going to the hospital and visiting with people and helping people in a cleric or clergy way. These 2 questions are very, very related, so I'm going to answer them both here. But before I do, let me briefly explain what is the difference between an ordained minister and an ordained licensed minister. Okay, so an ordained minister is someone who is ordained, but they are, free roaming. They're not connected to any particular church. It's up to them really what faith that they want to be in or be part of, whoever they ordain through. Most places are non-denominational, or I say trans-denominational, because I don't say non because that means none. I say trans because I believe I transcend religions. I don't non the religions. I transcend them because all the religions and all the faiths are, I'm doing my level best to include them in my practice, in my life, in my ministry, and in our shows. We've explored a lot of Judaism this past season, which has been awesome. We've learned a lot about that. And I'm studying up on the Muslim faith and learning a little bit about that in the Sufi faith, which is the mystics of the Muslim faith. And we'll be talking about that in season 6. So we're going to continue to learn and grow and expand. So again, a ordained minister is just that. They're not attached to any particular church or denomination. An ordained licensed minister is someone that is backed by a particular faith and or church. Okay, so with my license that I received, and I'm not going to name it. If you guys want to go back in previous episodes and listen, I say who I was licensed through, but I'm not going to name them. But the bishop and acting abbot of that faith, of that religion, of that denomination, is a better word for it, that denomination, abandoned me. And I don't have any other words to explain it or express it other than just the utmost abandonment. He was part of the Oblates of Perpetual Light, was at a meeting, and a video meeting. Everything seemed fine, and we chatted a bit back and forth on Facebook Messenger that evening after the meeting, and then he literally vanished. I emailed, I Facebook messaged, I even text messaged on his phone and got no replies at all. I mean, at first I was very concerned. I'm like, are you okay? Is your family okay? What's going on? No replies. Nothing at all. As Phil Collins sang, there's no reply at all. I don't know. I honestly, I have absolutely no idea if I said or did something wrong. Some people seem to think maybe it's because I started studying Kabbalah or Kabbalah, however you want to pronounce it. But no, it's not that, because he also was in Facebook groups about Kabbalah. In the last correspondences we had, I was sharing with him information on where he could do some of the classes like I had and I'm doing now, to where he could learn more, because he was all about, trans-denominational as well. So honestly, that's as much as I can say, because I'm not going to get into speculation, because I don't know. Honestly, he never shared with me why he abandoned me. I don't, honestly, I have absolutely no clue. So the way it works, and I know this is complete bunkus, political garbage, but with a license, with ordination itself, it's a system of, you've got to be in good standing. So say with the hospital, I can't follow up on that. They were supposed to contact me once they found a director that was going to be heading the clergy, volunteer clergy, and they were supposed to contact me. Of course, I haven't heard anything from them. Now I can't follow up on that, because why? Because when I applied as a licensed, ordained minister, and that bishop actually spoke with them and gave his blessing for me to do whatever I needed to do with the hospital. Now, some would say, well, hey, he already gave us okay. Yes, but the way it works is, now if I reach out to them and they say yes, they'll want to make sure that that bishop still backs me, that I am still licensed through him. So they would need to speak with him, and he would need to say, yes, I still support Reverend Angel Wise, blah, 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 blah. That's not going to happen. So that's now dust in the wind. It's completely up to the creator, as everything is. Everything is up to the creator. So it's completely up to the creator. If it wants me to do this, then it will provide a way for it to happen. Now, it's not that I gave up. No, on the contrary, I've not given up. I'm still very willing to do it when I possibly can, if it arises, if the way arises. Now, so circle back to the priesthood, because that brings that in too, doesn't it? So, those of you who have been longtime listeners heard me banging in pots and pans, probably from the end of season 3 all the way through season 4, about, me feeling a calling to be a priest and all of that. But then you also heard in all of that the drama that was going on with my quest to be ordained as a priest. So that circles back to what a licensed minister is. A license usually is bestowed upon a minister as a stopgap. It's like a temporary thing until you become ordained. So when someone backs you with a license and makes you a licensed minister, they have plans sometime in the future to ordain you and make you a priest in that order. Well, that's not happening. It's not going to happen because I don't know. Honestly, folks, I have no idea. It drove me nuts for a minute because you always want a reason. Even if it's negative, I wanted the feedback because I wanted to know if I had done something wrong or said something wrong. I want to know so I can then meditate and contemplate and pray on that to, figure out if it's something that I need to correct or if it's something that was taken out of context or taken the wrong way or anything like that. So I don't have that feedback, so I have no idea. So, and so the license is gone. I can't use it because I don't have the backing for it anymore. That bishop will probably not answer any calls from anybody about me. And if he does, he'll probably tell them, I don't know. I can't say because he hasn't said why he's abandoned me. So that also ties into basic ordination as well, is you have to be a member in good standing. So say if you asked me to perform a wedding for you or your loved one or friend or family, I would get from where I ordained a paper from them saying that I am a member in good standing with them through my ordination. And I would hang on to that because sometimes different states, different counties require that with the marriage license, that your minister or whoever is ordained is a member in good standing with whomever they ordained through. So anyway, just information for you guys. And again, the politics of dancing, as the song once went. Yeah, so that's the updates on all that stuff. And as far as ordination goes into the priesthood, am I now against it? Have I moved past it? No, absolutely not. I mean, I'm not against it, and I am not actively seeking it. I have, again, I'm continuing to grow and to learn and to evolve and to focus on my ministry, to focus on this show, to focus on the Oblates Perpetual Light, which I just did the infomercial for a little bit ago, which I would love for all of you to be part of. It is such an easygoing, loving environment and atmosphere. Honestly, it's beyond words. And it's absolutely free. It really is. And I mean, I'm not just saying it because I'm the director of it, but, ask those who are members and they'll tell you how awesome it is and how such a great environment it is. And it's so diverse because we have members, even though we've only got a few members so far, all these members represent different faiths, different congregations, and beliefs. And it's just such a beautiful, diverse collage, a beautiful stained glass window with so many colors and shapes and shades. That is the Oblates of Perpetual Light. And so I'm focusing on that. I'm putting my focus on those things. And again, I'm so into the divine, really. And I pray that comes through in these shows. But I hope I'm not banging too many pots and pans and aggravating people. But I'm so into the divine and in my relationship with the divine. I'm completely open to whatever the divine wants me to do. And I know I talked and talked and talked in season 3 and season 4 about how it was my calling to be a priest and blah, 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 on and on and on. And it could still be. I mean, my thing is I've completely surrendered to the creator, to the divine, to God, Adonai, the great goddess, Hecate, Hashem, whatever you want to label that which is beyond label, I have completely surrendered to. And that doesn't mean I've given up. That means I've given myself to it and allowing it to do the driving. And I'm, an active participant in the driving. I get to navigate here and there, but I'm letting the divine do what it feels needs to do with my soul as far as directing my soul to the purposes and missions that my soul is here in this lifetime to do. And I've been so beyond blessed to have a second chance at it. Because as I've said, and this will be the last time I say it for a while, is that, we've just passed the June 30th mark of my 3rd year since my heart operation. And I wasn't supposed to have survived that. I shouldn't be here now. You shouldn't be hearing my voice right now. But the creator had other plans. And regardless of what modern medicine and modern doctors had to say, even specialists, great specialists had to say, the creator said differently. And it has the last word and say in everything. And it deemed me to be here for a little longer. So, I'm going to, and I have, do everything I can to seize and savor each and every moment and make the most out of it. Not for me, I or mine, but for what the purpose the creator has for me. I should say purposes, because I'm sure there's many. And, this show is one of them, of many things. So thank you all for being here, for listening, for being a part, being a family member of the show. And again, and I'll say one more time, is please try to get more involved with the show, with your feedback. Sometimes on the shows, at the end of the shows, if you're watching it or listening to it on Spotify, there's little quizzes on there or polls where I'll put on there, did you like this episode? Would you like to see more or hear more of this topic? Check those out, check those and share your thoughts and your views, because you matter and what you want matters as far as the direction of the show. Interviews. We haven't done an interview on the show in a long time. We didn't do any interviews in season 5. I think the last interview we did was back in season 3 with Father Mike Cantor. I would like to do some more interviews. Do you all have any ideas of who you would like for me to interview for the show? Let me know. And if you can help and make it happen, that's awesome. I'll definitely give you 100% of the credit for it. But, just reach out. Let me know. Become more involved. I know you're all shy and you're all very limited on your time. And again, I can't thank you enough for listening and taking the time to listen. I know I'm rambling, aren't I? But anyway, please get more involved. I greatly urge all of you. Let's make season 6 a more of a family season where we're all involved more and we're all providing suggestions or recommendations or connecting me with people that you would like me to interview on the show. Let's do that for season 6. Okay, everyone. So I'll shut up and pause here for now and conclude this book nook, or I should say, we'll pause this book nook and we'll take up next month. Wow, it'll be August. Imagine that. Wow, the time is just flying by. So before we go, let us pray for just a moment. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make its face shine upon you. May it be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Everyone, please know that each and every one of you are a great blessing created by the Creator, not by coincidence, not by chance, but in such vivid intention and detail. Each and every one of you is so very precious. Your life is very precious and is such a gift, not just to you, but to all of us as well. Never forget that. And always know that I am here for each and every one of you. Again, my contact information is at the end of every show and it's coming up here soon. Never hesitate to reach out to me. If you need anything, if you need someone just to listen, I'm here for you. I love you all. Infinite blessings and thanks to you. And I'll see you again in a few days. We'll have another episode of the Faith and More podcast. I so hope and pray you all have enjoyed the Book Nook. Infinite thanks, blessings, and love for tuning in. And I hope you all return the next Book Nook next month. And don't forget to check out the Faith and More podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review. It really helps get the show out to more and more people. And if you really like the show, consider making an offering. Offerings are a great way to help sustain and improve the show and the Faith and More ministry. Offerings can be made through the Cash App. The show's cash tag is $Faith and More, or you can find us at cash.app/$Faith and More. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. There's lots of great videos there, and it gives you more of an immersive experience. Just go to youtube.com/@Faith and More podcast. Next is prayers. I love to pray, and our Faith and More family love to pray, so let us pray for you. There's 2 ways to do this. The first is to email me directly at faithandmorepodcast@gmail.com. And the second is through our website at faithandmorepodcast.wixsite.com/my-site. And of course, links to everything are always in the show description. Intro and outro music are courtesy of LeFM at lesfm.net. Please check them out and show them some love. So until next month, everyone, have a blessed month. And know that each and every one of you are in my heart and prayers. Bless you.